Okay, so welcome to part 3 of my series talking about my favorite anime, but also part 1 of what's probably going to be 2, let's be honest, of my actual top 10. As I had said in I guess a couple housekeeping things, if you haven't seen the previous episodes. Number 1, this is a top 10 list, but there is a tie on it, so there are 11 shows. It's my list, it's how it makes sense to me. Let me go ahead and get that out of the way. The other thing I will say is full spoilers for any shows that are mentioned. I will have them time-stamped below. So if you don't want spoilers on a show, you can completely avoid it. So also I'm spoiling the list in the description. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and get started with what I have at number 10, Princess Tutu. So what do I love about Princess Tutu? What makes it so much better than Monogatari or Lane or freaking Symphogear? To me, it's one major thing, but I want to talk about some of the other things I like about the show. Number 1, I'm a sucker for a fairy tale. I enjoy fairy tales. I enjoy Disney movies. I really like Ruby. I like Shrek. Things that take fairy tales and kind of twist them, want to do their own things with them, are things I really enjoy. And Princess Tutu has this very fairy tale feel to it with the whole Prince of the Raven story, but also with Tutu herself. And it's very Swan Lake coded, and as someone who actually just recently watched Swan Lake, can appreciate Princess Tutu in hindsight just a little bit more. The second thing is Swan Lake coded. It means it's ballet. I really like ballet. And it's interesting because as someone who's like, yeah, I love ballet, I don't really watch ballet. I haven't seen a lot of ballet, but anytime I do, I just really appreciate just the technique and the artistry that goes into that. I appreciate that with a lot of other kinds of dancing as well, don't get me wrong, but there's something about ballet where I'm like, this is just so cool and incredible to watch. And the fact that this is a magical girl anime where instead of having elaborate not like Symphogear where you're singing and screaming at the top of your lungs while punching things or being Chris and blowing up a mountain, the fight scenes are ballet dances. That's a really unique idea to me, and like I was saying, it's something that just kind of appeals to me. And the music is classical. And some of them wait, I actually recognize this song. Oh, wait, I actually recognize this song. Again, in hindsight, I'm like, wait. During, it's the climax of the first core where it's the dance between Tutu and, what's her name? Rue is the name of the character, but then it's the Black Swan. It's Princess Cray or Kure or something like that. I don't remember exactly what her evil name is. But they're playing the Swan Lake thing, the boom, 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 boom. Oh, this is so cool. There's this one scene in the second core where Muto is starting to go through his evil boy arc, where he's doing a solo and Night on Bald Mountain is playing, and I was so happy because I recognized Night on Bald Mountain. Shout out to Kingdom Hearts. I mean, just shout out Fantasia in general. I love Fantasia, but that's all stuff that I really like. So just kind of at its fundamental level, it's here, it's a fairy tale based around ballet that uses classical music. Okay, I'm down with a lot of this stuff. Here's what puts it in my top 10. What really makes it leapfrog a lot of those other shows. It's Drosselmeyer and Fakir. The first half of Princess Tutu, it feels like a very standard magical girl anime, but I like the vibe it's going for. It's all right, here's your jewel, and that you have to get the heart of the prince back, and your jewel is the different pieces of his heart, and blah 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 blah. One of the two main antagonists, the other is the Raven, who's here's your big fairy tale bad guy, is Drosselmeyer, the guy who wrote the story. I wrote the fairy tale of the Prince and the Raven, and I love tragedy. This will not end in smiles. This will end in tears, both the characters and the audience, and that is what I live for. And then the characters aren't going according, I guess the story isn't going according to plan, and the characters aren't acting the way they're supposed to. And he's not happy. Drosselmeyer is a puppet master kind of writer. I'm the one in charge. I am the god of this world. I am the god of these characters. And they will do what I say, because a puppet that doesn't dance on command is not a useful puppet. And then you have Fakir, who once you get into the second half, I don't remember what it was specifically. It's like he's a descendant of Drosselmeyer or something like that. That might have been it. But he realizes that he's also a writer, and his actions, like his writing, can affect the story and change the story. And his style of writing is not, these are my puppets and I will make them dance. His style of writing is, I'm just writing like what feels right. Even if I don't like what's happening. Like there's a scene where Ahiru is like dancing and she can't go full tutu, like she's just a duck. And every time she's trying, like she's getting hurt, she's getting her ass beat. And he's like, I don't want to write this because this is my friend being hurt, but it's what has to happen. Like I'm in the zone, I can feel it. And I think at this point, like his hand is bleeding, like from how hard he's going. He's like forcing himself to write. It's incredible. Like holy shit, it's so cool. This is a show that kind of redefined for me what it means to be a writer and how it feels to be a writer. I used to be a very Drosselmeyer kind of person, both in the sense of like, I love a good tragedy. I remember saying at one point with one of my stories, not something I'm currently working on, that if you are not in tears by the end of this story, I have failed as a writer. And I'm like, I don't like that. That's like, don't get me wrong, sad shit happens. Like, it's not to say that all my stories are super happy. It's not the case. It's really not the case. But it's not like, man, I am trying to wring your heart out. It's, I am trying to tell this story. I feel like I have an understanding of how the story works, of how the characters are, but sometimes they do surprise me. Sometimes it goes in ways where I wasn't expecting, or maybe I don't quite understand at the moment, but I understand that it's going to work itself out. And if it doesn't, that is kind of what I'm there for as the writer. Be like, let me put my foot down real quick and figure this out or make a decision. They're not my puppets. There's an episode of Futurama where Leela is writing like a successful television show, like a kid's show, and it turns out it's not something she came up with herself. She literally is like going to the Teletubby planet and just writing down everything they do or say. Like that's kind of how I feel as the writers. Like this is a thing that is happening, not to say like it's actually happening. I think you know what I mean. It's like, here's the story. I'm the scribe. But there are times where I will kind of make my own decisions and be like, let me change things a bit. But I feel like I have my autonomy as the writer. The story kind of has its own autonomy as well. And figuring out that relationship with each individual story that you write and every character in the story, etc., is so fun and it's so interesting. And this show, I don't know if this is necessarily like what changed me, or if I was kind of already having that change and this show was like, okay, here's you before, here's you after, and I really appreciated that. Also, I have to shout out the Guitar Ninjas meme if you've ever seen it. It's the like this is what I watched, this is what I expected, this is what I got. And I think this was like where the meme originated, and the what I got is the Guitar Ninjas. And I fucking love it. I also have to shout out an AMV that, what is the song called? It's like Hold Me Now or Hold On To Me Now. It's something like that, which is this very spoilery Princess Tutu AMV, and it's incredible. From what I understand, it's why a lot of people watched the show, because they saw from what I understand, it's like an award-winning AMV, and people saw it and went, wait a second, Why is this show called Princess Tutu? Absolutely fire. If you haven't seen it, I cannot recommend Princess Tutu enough. This is my number 10. So now we move on to number 9, and number 9 is where I have my tie. It is, sorry, again, I say it every time, my stupid hair. Anyways, number 9 is where I have a pair of shows that to me, like, these are childhood classics. And I can maybe make the argument that Princess Tutu should maybe be ahead of these, but I feel like childhood classics that I still watch because they're still ongoing in their own kind of ways. I can't put them higher on the list, but I feel like number 9 seems about right. So let's start with the first of them, Dragon Ball. I don't know what I'm supposed to say about Dragon Ball. And yes, like, this is not just Ball, this is Z. Say what you will about GT. There's things about GT I really like. Say what you will about some of the shit in Super. I really like Super. Oh, sorry. Ew, that was gross. Say what you will about Super. I really like a lot of Super. I haven't started Daimo yet. I think that's what it's called. It seems a little weird, but I'm probably going to really enjoy it. There's all the movies, which I haven't seen all the movies or all the specials, but I've seen a lot of them and I enjoy them. I still really enjoy playing Dragon Ball games. I haven't played Sparking Zero. It looks really fun. I'll be honest, I'm not huge on the Tenkaichi games. I like the Budokai games. The Budokai games, like, here's Tekken, but it's Dragon Ball. The Tenkaichi split screen, like, man, I don't get into that. It just looks and feels weird, but I love how insane the rosters are. But, like, I've been watching Dragon Ball since I was, like, what? 7, 8? Somewhere around there. So over 20 years, easily. And I still get hyped. I still get hyped rewatching old scenes, like, old fights. I was glued watching the Tournament of Power every week. This was in a law school. Like, I am an adult. I am, like, trying to, like, learn my trade and pass the bar and all that stuff. Wait a second, I gotta watch Goku fight Jiren real quick. The fact that even the pirate sites were down when Goku and Jiren fought was insane to me. Like, I've heard about things breaking the internet. Like, I remember when Steve got announced for Minecraft. I just realized what I said. When Steve got announced for Smash! Dude, when Steve got announced for Minecraft, that was crazy. When he was announced for Smash, like, Twitter actually broke. Like, it could not handle all the traffic. That's crazy. That is breaking the internet. Crunchyroll didn't work. Kiss Anime didn't work. I don't remember if Twitter was working during that. Like, the whole world was watching Goku and Jiren. It was so cool. I mean, the Kamehameha, just doing that, man, there's something about that. Just doing it every now and then just feels right. It's enjoyable to do. It's the most iconic attack I can think of in, like, anything. I remember seeing something, this was a while ago, this might have been last year, like back in March or whatever, where someone was talking about something in One Piece. I don't remember if it was specifically the Gear 5 transformation, or if it was, like, a specific attack that Luffy did. It was like, this is more iconic than anything in Dragon Ball. It's like, this is the most iconic thing in anime. I'm like, it's not. And there's no disrespect toward One Piece. There's no shade toward One Piece. If you want to say this is my favorite, that's up to you. If you want to say this is the best, you can make an argument and defend it. But when it comes to iconic, that means, because I was talking about this with Jose the other day, and it wasn't related to Dragon Ball and One Piece. It was about Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy weapons. He was talking about the Gunblade. He's like, I think the Gunblade is the most iconic, like, weapon in Final Fantasy. Or I said, that's the Buster Sword. The reason I can say that is, like, there's a lot of people that would recognize a Gunblade. I feel like most people, like, who watch anime, who play video games, they will know what a Buster Sword is. Even people who don't are aware of Final Fantasy VII, at least to a degree. I'm like, wait a second, isn't, like, the dude's giant sword? That's why, like, there's nothing more iconic than the Kamehameha. Except maybe a Spirit Ball. And it's the same with Super Saiyan. Like, that moment when Goku turned Super Saiyan on Namek changed an entire genre. You can argue an entire medium, but Battle Shonen in particular, is not the only kind of manga. Like, Goku turning Super Saiyan, I don't know how much that did for, like, Toradora. Maybe it did, I don't know. But that redefined an entire genre, and you still feel its after effects. That is what it means to be iconic. Like, this recent Kendrick thing with the mustard. I've seen so many Dragon Ball parodies of just, like, Goku screaming and Vegeta screaming. I've seen Gohan scream. I've seen Cell. The fucking intro to Fighters, thank you, where Cell goes, I was like, I've seen a mustard version of that. This is what I love about Dragon Ball. It is just... What I love about Dragon Ball is as silly as this might sound, it's the fact that I still love Dragon Ball. I can still watch, like I was saying, watch old shit and enjoy it. I can I remember those good times. Even the stuff I didn't like most of the Boo Saga. I'm like, I still kind of like the Boo Saga. I can watch new stuff and have a great time. When did Superhero come out, like 2-3 years ago? I saw it in theaters. It was awesome. Had some problems with it, but I had a good time. It's just a really fun thing to just do with the boys. And that's what it is. I've talked about this with Friendship is Magic, where Friendship is Magic, especially like the first 4 seasons or so, almost feels like I'm hanging out with my college friends, because that's when I was watching the show. That's kind of how Dragon Ball feels, except it's more like I'm just hanging out with the boys that I've known like my entire life. And that's why I just enjoy it so much. And that's not even getting into the actual quality. Like, yeah, some of these fights are really good. Some of these attacks you see are really good and really cool. And it is fundamentally a series about knowing your limits and saying, fuck it, we ball. I am going to overcome my limits. I'm going to overcome my weaknesses. I want to be stronger. I want to be better. And there's something fundamentally human about that, at least for me. And it just resonates with my core. I love Dragon Ball, man. It's good shit. The other number 9, the other childhood classic that I still like, if you can't tell from the shirt, it's Pokémon. Because of course Pokémon was going to be on the list. It just had to be. Speaking of Eevee stuff, I got another Eevee poster up there. I actually have some other stuff that I wanted to show off that I didn't in the JRPG video. For example, this shirt, which I just kind of found going through the closet. Another one I found going through the closet is this one. It's the My Patronus is Pikachu shirt. Which, fun story. Back in law school, I went with some friends to Potter World and Universal, and I wore that shirt. And like one of my friends that I went with, I think he drove me, was like, dude, like, I love that shirt. That's awesome. And at one point, he borrowed it from me. And a while went by without me getting it back. So at one point I asked, I was like, hey, do you still have my shirt? Like, did you lose it or something? He's like, I'm gonna be honest. I was really hoping you were gonna forget so I could just keep it. But yeah, like, here's your shirt back, no problem. And I remember just kind of thinking, man, I'm really glad I asked. Like, it's still my boy, still a really good friend of mine. I'm like, that was kind of shitty, dude. Also, his car at the time was this yellow car, and I think there was like little black tips at the ends of the mirrors, and the headlights were like very red looking, and so every time I saw it, I'm like, I feel like I'm looking at a Pikachu, so I just called it the Pikachu Mobile. Some other stuff, so I believe I said this in a CTT video that we were going through storage, and I was able to find some things. So I found some old plushes. There's this Squirtle that I have had... Gosh, this was Christmas when I was like 5, no, not that era, but I think like 6 or 7. I've had this Squirtle for a really long time. Something else I got during that Christmas was a sleeping Pikachu, which is this guy. He's got some damage to his head. I don't know if you can see the stuffing coming out. I've had him a very long time. This is something my friend Anthony got me a while ago. It's a little Vulpix, and I love Vulpix. Vulpix is great. And then there's this guy. I've actually been looking for him for a while because I missed him. This is one of my most, like, enduring plushes. Like, he doesn't have his cheeks anymore. One of his eyes is just, like, turned into Pac-Man. He's seen a lot of damage. He's battle-tested. Also, I think his tail was connected, like, here, and now it's not. I call him the Colonel. Because, like I said, like he's battle-tested. He's an OG, and I just think the word Colonel sounds better than General, personally. I could promote him to General. He probably deserves it, but I like the Colonel a lot. Something my mom found was... Let me actually go grab it real quick. Was this giant Pikachu clock that I think I got when I was in Okinawa the first time, maybe the second time. And I just think this is kind of neat. Like I said, I completely forgot I had this. This is really cool. I have the first bike I ever owned was this Pikachu bike, and I can't ride a bike. I've tried. I do not have the balance for it. Jose got a bike a few months ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can borrow it. I want to actually learn how to ride it. Nope. I still don't have the balance for this. It's really bad. And of course, I genuinely don't remember if I did this when I was talking about JRPGs, but I have to talk about this. Like, this is literally the icon of my channel. It's a veteran riding a motorcycle from Small Soldiers. Why? I don't know. I just at one point was kind of looking at toys. I was like, huh. Oh my gosh, it fits. And also, Venonat's just one of my favorite Pokemon? I can't really explain why. I just like the way the little guy looks. And I just kind of like that it's the icon of my channel. Like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of neat. Maybe at some point I should change it. I know I've brought it up before. It's like, I probably should. I should make it like Bahamut or just like my face or something. But I don't know. It just kind of feels right in its own weird way. Now that I've shown off a bunch of Pokemon stuff, I'll be actually talking about the Ting Tang show. What I like about Pokemon the show is the same thing I like about Pokemon the game. I love the sense of adventure. Here is your region. Here's all the Mons. Go explore. Now, granted, they're usually a bit more linear than that, especially early on. But, I mean, I guess you can say later games can also be very linear. Like, I think Sun and Moon was super linear, but I love Sun and Moon. Anyways, point. It's an adventure. It's about seeing the world and all the cool stuff in it. It's something I really like about Kino's Journey, which I was talking about a few videos ago. What the anime does really well is the same thing that it doesn't do as well, which is that sense of pace. Because it can, especially when you're watching it weekly, can feel like, man, it's taking a while to get anywhere because most of this is filler. But at the same time, it's kind of what I like about it. Have a nice pace. Just like, yeah, what's the cool thing over here? Who's the Pokemon of the week? Who's the random person of the week? What dumb shit is Team Rocket gonna get up to? Gosh, I love Team Rocket so much. If I were to make a list of like my favorite villains and antagonists of all time, they're in the top 10. And when I say that, I mean like they're like top 3, if not higher. I don't know if I want to make that video. I have no idea. I know who number 1 is. Spoiler alert, it's the antagonist of my number 1 anime, because of course it's going to be that thing. Team Rocket's probably right behind at number 2, because of just how enduring they are. How much I love these 3 knuckleheads. I guess kind of going series by series. The original adventure, which... Actually, no, because what do they even call it? I think it's called, like, Original Series, which is Kanto and Orange Islands. It's classic. I love it. I love Ash being a savage. Is he a good trainer? No. Look at Charizard. Look at Primeape. I'm still so mad that he never got Primeape back. You're doing this... We'll save the Journeys rant for when I get to Journeys. I might forget it around that point. Just remember, I'm very mad that we never got to see an episode with Primeape there. Orange Islands. I love the Orange Islands. I've always wanted an Orange Islands game. And again, me talking about how much I love Sun and Moon, that's kind of why. Just, it has that vibe. Like, this is so neat. This is so cool. Advanced, which is Hoenn, I was very mixed when I was watching it because I was like, wait a second. Where's Misty? Like, I've known this girl for like 200 episodes and now she's just gone. This is stupid. This contest stuff, this is stupid. I don't like it. Max is annoying as heck. Why did Ash reset all his Pokemon? I hate all of this. I don't mind, like, in hindsight, and also at the time, like, I did, as much as I was complaining, I still liked it. I do like May. I like the idea of, you know, getting the new companions. I like contests quite a bit. I still never really liked Max. I'm gonna be honest, I just found this kid annoying as hell. And Ash resetting is something I actually like a lot. And I feel like I've heard people talk about how much they don't like that. They can kind of complain about it. This is my thing. When I play Pokemon, I don't usually transfer. I think I used to a little bit, but I don't really transfer my Pokemon like from generation to generation, game to game. Every game is just kind of its own experience. And I like that. And I like that the show kind of reflects that. You also get the Johto problem, where Ash didn't reset, and he starts with, hey, my Charizard, who's really strong and now listens to me, and... I don't think Johto was really balanced around me having an experienced team. So then they had to start phasing them out. You're like, all right, well, now we've got the Charific Valley. Like, hey, your Charizard's your best Pokemon, but he ain't shit compared to other Charizards, so you should just bench him so he can train. Hey, what if Squirtle went back to the Squirtle squad? So he's not really your Pokemon anymore, but he kind of sort of is in his own weird way, and yeah, what if he just really wasn't part of the team anymore? And then Bulbasaur is, I don't know, some like Vileplume, or I don't remember the episode 100%, but it's like some Vileplume or like fighting some Dugtrio or something. Can you let Bulbasaur over here to stop the fighting and, I don't know, just not take him back unless you need him? Sure, dog. I don't love the phasing out, and just the soft reset every time I think works. Pikachu getting reset every time, that one's a bit annoying, but again, you kind of have to do it. I get it, but yeah. But I like it because, again, for me, it, like the anime and its pace, it reflects how I play Pokemon and the vibe I have playing Pokemon. Even the fact that Ash doesn't catch a lot. I feel like as I've gotten older, I'm less of like catch. I'm less like, all right, let me get the shiny charm because I want to shiny hunt like these specific Pokemon. Then I will try to complete the dex. But a lot of times on just like my base playthrough, I'm like, all right, here's like the 8 Pokemon that I caught because I really wanted to. Or, I don't know. I thought the vibe was there with the 1s and 0s. So anyways, like, Hoenn I think is actually good. Sinnoh I think is fantastic. Paul is my favorite rival. And it's one of the things that, to me, that really made Sinnoh work. It is, here is Ash and how he raises his Pokemon. Here's someone that doesn't do it that way. And what I love is, Paul is the antithesis to Ash, which makes the rivalry feel more personal. And the fact that he's introduced, if not in episode 1 of Sinnoh, it's like episode 2. It is, from the start, here is your enemy. And granted, Kanto does that as well with Gary, and I guess by extension Johto, because he's there too. They tried to do it with Casey, and then poor girl showed up like once after, maybe twice. I'll always be upset about that. I was like, I thought Casey was really fun. I was hoping we'd see more of her. At least in like the Johto League or something, but I don't think we did. Anyways, point. Having an effective rival at the start, and also the way they are as people and as trainers is reflected in Chimchar and Monferno and Infernape. I really like that. And that battle, I think, is really, really good. It's fucking peak. I love Sinnoh. And around this point is when I stopped watching, but I would follow it weekly just because, like, I moved. I didn't really know the best sites to watch it on because I would literally just watch the show on TV in Okinawa. So, Black and White, I followed, and I was like, this seems fine. And from what I understand, like, it's fine. Some people will absolutely defend it, and other people think it's terrible. Kalos is like, this seems really good, and the bits I've seen of it, I really liked. It sounds like it's incredible. Sun and Moon, from what I have seen and what I have followed, is just really cozy, and can also be really, really sad. And so it's like, I don't have as much to really say about, though, like 5 through 7, but from what I understand, I like 6 and 7, 5 seems fine. Then we get 8, then we get Journeys. I'm not gonna say I hate it, because that would be disingenuous. Where are we at? Is that 41? No, that's a 3. 31. Okay, I was like, no, there's no way I've talked for 40 minutes, and I'm still only on number 9, although it's 2 shows. Anyways, point. It'd be disingenuous to say that I hated Journeys, but I didn't love it. Here are my reasons why. Why are you presenting this as a big globe-trotting adventure and you're stationed in Vermilion City? Why aren't you stationed in Galar? This is the Galar anime, and like, I am a big Sword and Shield defender. It has its problems. I'm not going to deny that it has its problems. But I love the vibe of the Galar region. I love how competitive the region is. The fact that it's like, yeah, battles are a huge spectacle and event and like Dynamax and really get you hyped. You're telling me that Ash is not battling all the gym leaders here? I want to see that! I like a lot of the Galar Pokemon. And Ash has, what, 2? 1.5? Because it's a Cantonian, it's a Galarian form of a Cantonian Pokemon. And then Dracovish, like, that's just 100% Galar. No complaints there. Like, yeah, it's this big globe-trotting adventure, and here's the new region. We're not going to be stationed here. We'll go there some points on occasion. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if it's this big globe-trotting adventure, surely his team will reflect that. Surely we'll get, like, a good amount of Galars. It's the new region. We'll also get, all kinds of other stuff. Well, let's look at the list. Pikachu, because of course. Oh, no notes. Kanto. Dragonite. A Pokemon I absolutely love. Kanto. Gengar, another Pokemon I absolutely love. Kanto. Lucario, okay, here's something from another new region. Sirfetch'd. It's a new region, it's a new Pokemon, but it's a Cantonian form, so it's almost like half a Kanto and half not. And then Dracovish is like, cool, so with the Galar anime, there's 1.5 Galar Pokemon, and okay, so that's no Johto, no Unova, no Hoenn, no Alola, no Kalos. What the hell is this? And again, it's like, I like the individual Mons, but it felt kind of homogenous there. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, when they're battling the giant Golurk and they're doing the raid battle, like, this would be a really cool catch. Oh no, Go gets it. Alright, fine. Or it's like, oh man, like a Flygon? Dude, I love Flygon. It's a Pokemon I've always loved. I've always wanted Ash to have one. Specifically because of the Jirachi movie. And like the one there and he's riding it. Like, man, this would be really cool. Oh, look. Go got it. Huh. Oh, look. The Galarian starters. Surely Ash will catch one of them and it will be his companion, or like maybe like Pikachu is always going to be the ace, but it can be like the ace of this run or whatever the hell or blah blah blah, and we'll go get Scorbunny. It's like, all right, that's his starter, that's fine, no notes. Okay, you got Sobble too. Okay, I guess Ash is gonna get Gerky. What do you mean, go all three of them? I'm gonna be honest, I really don't have much to say about Go. I just wasn't big on him. I know there are people who hate Go, and there's people who love Go. I think he's fine. I don't really care for him, but I don't hate him. Here's what I do hate about Go. Aside from what I just said, is like, man, that'd be a really cool Pokemon for Ash to catch. Mine. Sure, dog. There was an episode that I was so hyped for. And it's Ash going back to Oak's lab. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna go see my old Pokemon. You know, we're getting to like the higher up in the rankings because he's not doing all the gyms now that he's a champion from Alola. He's basically doing like, I don't remember exactly what the Pokemon World Championships, like the coronation, I think is what they called it. Essentially, it's like, okay, let me see if I'm actually the very best, like no one ever was, and climbing his way up the ranks, which I think is really cool. I like that storyline. Wish all the Galar gym leaders were in it. I wish more gym leaders were. I wanted to see Sabrina. Sabrina is my favorite gym leader because I think she's really cool. And a lot of that is because of the anime and like how much time was spent with her, how creepy she was. She left an impact. I was so hoping to see Sabs again. And then no, we're gonna like see Karina and like that's it. I don't think, because like there's a thing with Surge, but we don't actually see Surge. It's like some dude working in his gym. Like there are some Galar gym leaders we see. I think we see Piers, we see B. Like there's an arc with B, and I think that's good. But again, if this is the super competitive region, kind of wanted to feel more of that. You get it like with Raihan too, because I know Raihan was one of the, like, I think he was in the top 8 at one point. Like Kabu didn't even appear. He's in Horizons. We're gonna talk about Horizons. But like he doesn't even appear in Journey. It's like, what the hell? This is dumb. I don't think Nessa ever appeared. This might be one of the most popular characters from Galar. Like, what the hell, man? My point. The thing about Go that really bothers me, I'm getting sidetracked. You know, it's one of my videos. They go to Oak's lab to see the old pokes, hang out with everybody, like we're getting to the higher stages, like maybe he's gonna start rotating his Pokemon. Because it's a globe-trotting adventure, you would think he wouldn't be married to the Pokemon that he's just catching now. And he could like rotate some in. It's like, all right, like I'm in this tournament of champions kind of thing. You would think maybe, just maybe, he would use some of his old pokes. And we like the fan service of seeing them again and kind of showing the new kids the ropes. And slowly but surely, he starts to really use his new team. And then in like the finals and whatnot, it's the new team exclusively. That would have been fine. But no, it's just the new team. So you don't get to see like Sceptile go do cool shit or like Infernape do cool shit. And it was so disappointing. And then you get Gary in this episode. I'm like, I get to see Gary Oak again. This is great. I love Gary Oak. And instead of really focusing on the fact that Ash is seeing his old Pokemon again, or thinking about like strategies and shit, or hanging out with Gary, it's mostly just focused on Go being really pissy because he's meeting Ash's old boyfriend. That is how the episode feels. And it being presented in that way when it could have been so much more. It's like, that was when I stopped watching Journeys weekly, by the way. So like all the Project Muse stuff, I just haven't seen, and I really don't care to. I'm gonna be dead ass. Like at that point in the show, Chloe like wasn't really doing anything, and I think it's not long after that she kind of does, but also still doesn't really amount to much. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't really care to. The fight with Leon. Let's talk about it. Pikachu and Charizard. When I watched the episode, I didn't know who was gonna win. I had my thoughts, I had my hopes, I had my dreams. I didn't know who was gonna win. And when I saw Pikachu go down, you ever hear that song by the Killers, the Tyson v. Douglas? They're like, when I saw him go down, feel like somebody lied. That's how I felt when Pikachu fell. And I was like, no, you cannot tell me he loses after all of this. No. Kind of bullshit anyways, because Ash got to use like 3 gimmicks in the fight, and then Eternatus showed up, and then he was down 2 pokes to 1, and there was nothing you could really do against Cinderace, but then, Eternatus showed up, and then Leon's like, alright, let me Dynamax Cinderace, which turned out to be a bad idea, so Ash kind of got bailed out, but... You're telling me he came this far just to lose? No, fuck you. This is not okay. This is not acceptable. And then Pikachu is in that, like, dream state. And he sees all of Ash's former Pokemon. And it starts with the boys. You get Bulbasaur, Charizard, and Squirtle. Then you get Butterfree. And that hurts. I ain't gonna lie. Like, we're going there. And it's everyone is here. I think even Larvitar was there. And like that's also a deep cut, by the way. I'm mad that we never saw Primeape. The fact, and like seeing Sabrina would have also seen Haunter again, and that would have been amazing. Never seeing Larvitar again. Ash not catching it as a Tyranitar and it being one of the stars of his party. I don't care if it sounds super fanfiction-y. That's kind of what it felt like Journeys was supposed to be, especially with this shit and the way it ends. Like, come on, man. Bastard! When that happens, like, Pikachu is unable to. Pikachu gets up, goes Super Saiyan, and then the animation, not to say it was bad before, but goes from, like, good to, whoa, they were cooking. And then the opening plays. And I've talked about that being one of my all-time favorite tropes. But it doesn't play the opening, it plays the original opening. And in English, it's a cover of it. It's not the original opening. But it more or less is. And my boys fucking win. I have my problems with Journeys. Clearly, I always have my problems with Journeys. I can't hate Journeys because it gave me exactly what I needed. And then there's the epilogue where it's like, hey, let's see all my Pokemon again. And then I don't think we actually see all of them. We still don't see Primeape. Like, there's a meeting with Butterfree that basically happens off screen. I'm like, how was that not an episode, bro? Oh, hey, Pidgeot's back. You know what? I'll give you that. I'll give you Pidgeot. Also, why was this whole recurring thing with, like, a Latios and you don't even catch the Latios? Like, come on, man. You could have given me that. That would have been nice. Although making Pokemon Heroes canon by showing Altamare at the end and it's being one of the best movies, I think I have it in my top 3. My top 2 are, it's the first movie's my favorite. It will always be my favorite. I think Entei is a better movie. The first movie just hits me different in that nostalgia bone. Entei is I've said this before, Entei is basically a Silent Hill movie, but it's Pokemon, and it's weird, and it's actually fantastic. I think I have Journeys. I think I have Heroes right there at number 3. It's not the second movie. Also hits a nostalgia bone, but there's other movies I like a lot more. Like Lucario is up there. I don't remember what it was called. It was one of the AU movies. Not the, like, super AU movie. I didn't really like that one that much. Oh, it's bothering me. It's the Pokemon Power one. It's the one with Zeraora. I am completely blanking on its title. Sorry, I feel like I keep being so close to remembering the title. Power of Us! I did remember the title. Thank you, me. I think I have Power of Us, like, really high up there as well. Anyways, point. Pokemon is great, even when it's not, and even when I haven't seen it. Ash and Pikachu are my boys. Let me talk about Horizons real quick. Horizons is peak. I absolutely love Project Horizons. Okay, Project Horizons. Like, we'll get to that next time we get to that. Oh my goodness, I miss Blackjack. I hate it, but I miss talking about Blackjack. Pokemon Horizons is peak. It gave me Pogogo. These last couple episodes, and not to say the rest of the show has been bad, because it's been great. To me, Horizons is everything I wanted from Journeys, except for like the fan servicey end of Ash kind of stuff. Like, it's an actual, we're traveling the world. Our base is the airship, which kind of just lends more credence. Like, we are traveling the world. It's a big adventure. There's an actual plot and a goal, which makes me like, okay, like there's an end game here, which I really do appreciate. And we're moving towards it. I will go ahead and throw some shade, though. We've been in Kitakami for a while. We're about to leave, and there's been no Ogerpon. I was really, really hoping to at least see Ogerpon. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But, in addition to the fact that, there's like, so one thing I had said about Journeys is I wanted Galar to be the home base, which is not the case here in Horizons. However, there is an entire arc. There's like, this is just in Paldea. They've gone there a few times, and Journeys tried to do this with The Darkest Day, but it was, what, like 4 episodes? Maybe less. Here is an entire arc of being in Paldea and interacting with the gym leaders, interacting with the Elite Four members, doing some stuff with the school, with terrestrialization. I'm like, this is a really good arc, because we're getting a lot of development from our main cast. This is what, I mean, Sprigatito had already evolved, but this is when the other 2 starters evolve, and some of just the other members of their party evolve. We are seeing progress here. I mean, I guess Tinkatank didn't evolve yet, because it evolves in the part after Kitakami. But we are seeing this progress, and it's really good. And that's also when you get, like, Amesio really in his Zuko arc. I'm like, yeah! And these last couple of episodes with, at, like, the pond, and, like, Pogogo and all that, like, this is so good! What the hell? I love Pokemon. I really do. I love watching it. I love playing it. I love collecting it. I love having all my stupid Pokemon merch. So I will tell you what, this has already been 47 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and say number 8. I think I can get through number 8 pretty quick. It's Fate Zero. Yes, I know this is not Fate Zero. This is the Dean Fate Stay Night, but have you seen the prices of a Fate Zero Blu-ray? That shit is insane. I could maybe afford it, but just because I can doesn't mean I should. But also, here's the Fate wall. Now, yes, not all of these are Fate. It's like, we got Ilya and her mom. We've got Saber and Archer. I really like that metal poster, by the way. Right below that, you can't really tell because of the figures, which is why I call it the Fate wall, because these are all Fate figures on here, is Gil and Saber, specifically like their fight from Fate Zero. There's also my wallet. My wallet is, it's taking some damage, but it's supposed to be Mash's shield, and I think it's really freaking cool. And yeah, I've got like Hokusai, I've got a couple Scaths, I've got an Ereshkigal Gall. That's MC from Fate Go. I've got some mashes. Got the mashes in the back. I got some mashes in the back. Musashi, and of course my beloved Tamamo. So actually getting into Fate Zero, and why I have Fate Zero so high, and trying to do it quickly, I love, number 1, Fate in general, I think is one of the single best premises to a story I have ever heard. So you're going to have a tournament, which I love. It's also a death game, which is something I also love. It's fucked up to say, but I do. You're going to have 7 mages. So it's magic. I enjoy that. It's like, which means we're going to get cool fights, right? Also, you are summoning mythical, like, heroes. You are summoning people that you know from fairy tales, from legends, from ancient history, some even maybe from modern history, if you really want to summon Thomas. So I just remembered how Thomas Edison works in Fate Go, and it's so weird, but I love it. Oh yeah, speaking of which, I have a Cleopatra in the back too. I'm like, I don't want to go that route, but like, man, Fate Cleopatra is so hot. Anyways, point. You are summoning people like Gilgamesh and King Arthur and Alexander the Great to fight to the death for their one wish. And both the servant and the master can make their wish. But only one pair can win. Have at you. That is an incredible premise. And Fate Zero, to me, makes very, very good on that premise. I think the servants we get, like the 3 I just mentioned, are really cool. And then you also get Lancelot. You get Gilles de Rais, who is someone I never heard of before. Like, okay, what they do with this bastard is really cool. They do with like Assassin, like the Hassan stuff. It's okay. It's not Grandpa. Gosh, I love Grandpa. He's so freaking cool. But it's like what they do is still pretty fun. Who am I missing? Lancer. That's Diarmid. Someone who I'd also never heard of before, but I think is pretty cool. Like, I like the stuff they do with him and his masters. I think the relationships between the servants and the masters are really interesting. I want to say this. What I love about Fate Zero... No, I think I'd already said it. It's not like I'm going to say something super... It's like, I just really like the cast. This is an incredible premise. And we get, I think, some genuinely great masters and some genuinely great servants. And even if, like, Ryunosuke... Gosh, I love the way he says it. Kuru... Like, are these two the most interesting characters? No, they're just disgustingly evil and diabolical. But just the way they interact off each other is just so fun. And then you have, like, the Black Knight, where you can kind of tell where it's going. It's like, yeah, because he's the Zerker, you're not getting a lot of personality out of him. But just how on sight it is whenever he sees Saber, I think is really interesting. And then you've got Karya. I love him, and I love his story. And I'm like, man, I don't have to know anything about what actually happens in Fate to know things are not going to end well for you, buddy. You are fucked. I love Waver and Iskantor. I absolutely adore these two and their relationship. I think it's great. I love Kiritsugu. I think he's a very interesting character, especially now. I think even more in hindsight, like reading the VN and seeing the impact he left on both Shiro and Ilya. Especially after Heaven's Feel. I'm going to put a quick pin in there. My favorite part of the show is Kira and Gilgamesh. No question. As much as I love Iskandar, as much as there's stuff I love, like the Banquet of Kings, which is one of my favorite things in the show, or like how cool some of the fights are, like the way that Kiritsugu takes care of Kaneth, both when they're actually fighting and how he gets around, like, the agreement he made with him. Absolutely peak. Like, in terms of just being a Grail War, would I put it above UBW's? Because UBW has a lot of this really cool, like, strategy and crazy shit going on as well. It's arguable, but I think it's all great. Kira is such an interesting character to me. And it's the relationship with Gilgamesh and how Gil is like, I can tell that you're a pretty interesting guy. You're way more interesting than Tokiomi. So let's talk, because I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know you. I'm a king. I have everything I want. And what I don't have, and like if there's something I want and I don't have, I'm going to get it. And what I want right now is I just want your time. Entertain me. That's what your boss told you to do, right? Like, keep me entertained, keep me complacent, so I don't go fucking up the strategy or whatever. And I find that boring and insulting. So tell me about yourself, priest. Why are you such a monster? I love it. It's so good. I'm gonna take that pin out real quick. The way the UBW anime is kind of presented is that it's like a sequel to Fate Zero, which is not untrue because Fate Zero is a prequel to FSN in general. Like, it's a prequel to all 3 routes. But UBW is not the right route to do that with. It capitalizes on Gilgamesh's threat level and being the like main antagonist of Fate Zero. Everything else that Fate Zero sets up, though, is Heaven's Feel. Sakura and the Matos, like, it was just like her and her relationship with the Matos, and also Zoken in general is not in the other two routes. Kiritsugu and leaving Ilya behind and in the care of the Ainsburns, and man, following up Fate Zero with UBW, it's like, oh, this is what happened to Ilya. And granted, it's not like in Heaven's Feel, it's Sunshine and Rainbows either. I wept at what happens to Ilya at the end of Heaven's Feel. I'm about to start crying again. Like, ow, that shit hurt. But wow, that scene in UBW is brutal. Kirei in general, because Kirei doesn't do much in UBW, where Heaven's Feel is where he is absolutely at his best. That is the route that is the sequel to Fate. Even Shiro. It's something I've talked about before with Shiro, is how, to me, every route of Fate Stay Night, kind of, his motivation is always the same, but it feels a little different. I think in the Fate route, his survivor's guilt of being, I was the only one to get out of there, and I heard people screaming, and I did nothing to help them. To me, that is his biggest motivation. I think in Fate Zero, or excuse me, in UBW, it's the, these were my dad's ideals, and now they've become my ideals, and it's kind of become my entire being, and I have let it define me. And that is his motivation. And in Heaven's Feel, to me, it feels similar to UBW, but a little bit different, where it's less that, like, these are my dad's ideals, and I've internalized them, and just more of, I am my father's son, and I have to inherit his legacy. That, to me, is a major theme in Heaven's Feel. You get it with Rin as well, of, I am the head of, like, the Tosaka household now. Sakura is my business, and I have to handle it. You have just the Matos in general, and, like, how all their shit works. But you also have Shiro. Dude, it is hard for me to talk about some aspects of Heaven's Feel without crying. And how he has inherited Kiritsugu's beef with Kirei, and also the unresolved issues that his father left behind with Ilya. And what I love about the superhero ending is how both of them, both Kirei and Ilya, tell him, you are so much like Kiritsugu. And for watching Heaven's Feel, and how Ilya sees Kiritsugu as the father who abandoned me and, like, killed a lot of people, hurt a lot of people, and also fucked up the relationship with his wife, which, granted, that was the Grail and all that. Not much you can really do. And how Kirei sees Kiritsugu as, he's just like me for real. It's like, you're like me. You enjoy what you do to people. And both of them looking at Shiro and saying, you are your father's son. Yikes, that good. Oh, it hits hard. Sorry, this I could keep going, and I feel like if I did, it would just kind of devolve into, like, let me just talk about Fate Stay Night a lot about, like, let me just talk about Shiro as a character, but he's not in this anime. I mean, I think he is at the very end, but this is not about Shiro. I don't want to talk about Shiro right now. What I will say to end this video, because I feel like I kind of have to now, it's been an hour. Looking at the VN, Shiro is my favorite character across the board at, like, all three routes. I don't know if I'd say he's my favorite character in the Fate route, but he's my favorite character in the next two, and that's even with how great Kirei and Ilya are in Heaven's Feel, and how fantastic Archer is in UBW. When I look at Fate Zero, like I said, Kirei is my favorite character. When I look at the Fate series as a whole, I can't not say Tamamo. She is baby girl. But I love Fate Zero. I I'm so glad I read the VN last year. I know I'm talking about favorite anime. Like, clearly I would recommend any of you. Like, I'm talking about Princess Tutu. Like, it's Dragon Ball and Pokemon. I don't think I have to recommend them. You've seen them. You know what they're about. I can't recommend Fate Zero enough. I've already talked about it and spoiled it. It spoils a lot of things in Fate. Obviously, if you read any of the routes or watch any adaptations of the routes, it's going to spoil a lot of stuff from Fate Zero. It's kind of the nature of the beast with prequels. I cannot recommend reading the VN enough. I am so glad I did. It's not my favorite visual novel of all time. I'm still going back and forth between whether that's Sea Cats or Muv-Luv. It is a strong 3, and it's so good.